Okay, excellent. Thank you all for being here today for our informational session about our upcoming trip in next spring to Greece, land of gods and heroes. I would like to welcome today from Aventura World, Vibe. Vibe is here to give us the rundown, so I'm going to turn the show over to you. Thanks for being here today, Vibe, and thank you everybody for being here with us.
Thank you, Matt. So I'll set some ground rules firstly, but I'll start with some pleasantries. So good afternoon, everyone. Hope we've had our lunches and we are feeling full. And if you've had too much of a heavy lunch, you might get sleepy. So I'm here to excite you. My name is Vibe, and I represent Aventura World, the travel company, which is based out of New Jersey, but I'm currently based out of Vancouver, Canada. So I take care of the Pacific Northwest and Western US. We are a specialized travel company that works only with chambers of commerce for travel programs, and travel programs for chambers are just like any other event and affinity building activities the chambers do, just the way you might be doing some golf tournaments or some gala dinners and stuff like that. So travel is also an extension to that thing, just done a little more internationally. The other aim of doing this thing is for an international culture exchange activity, which is initiated by chambers. A lot of chambers do see that once there is more cultural exchange, once there is more bonding between the fellow travelers, there is a lot of synergy that happens once people are home and working together in the community. So, and also it creates a great buzzword in the community. So hopefully all the audience over here talks about it to their families and friends about this trip and bring them on the tour. The session is being recorded, so it will be published for a later reference, and you can check with the chamber for the source where the recording would be available. Session should not be more than an hour, including questions and answers. If there are any unanswered questions, please redirect all your questions to Matt so that he has a compiled list of common Q&As. You never know, the same question has been asked many times and he would already have a repository of those kind of things. Also, if in any case, if you don't understand me, because I might have a different accent, you can just raise your hand and let me know, and then I'll repeat everything. Last and not the least, I am a very good storyteller, so I would not get too much deep into the actual activities, otherwise you guys might not travel. So because I can build pictures with my stories, so I will refrain from divulging too much about the daily activities, and I would actually go on doing a lot of highlights so that we get to know more about it. Lastly, I assume that everybody has received the trip flyer through email or has picked up a copy from the chamber. If not, ask for it, because that is the place where you will be getting more details about the trip in a written format. And here we go. So I hope everybody is having batteries fully charged and phones on mute so that we can have undivided attention. So Aventura World, I want to speak a bit more about us, who we are. So we are a US-based travel company. We are a travel wholesaler. However, we have a decent international presence. We have several international offices, one in Paris, one in Rome. There's one satellite office in London. There's a back-end office in Delhi and a very big office in Cairo. Cairo happens to be our kind of second headquarters because we are a member of an international travel company called Sakara International Group, which is headquartered in US but has its major operations in Egypt. We are dedicatedly working with chambers of commerce and have been endorsed by the Association of Chamber of Commerce executives for travel programs. And over the past 1 year, we have learned a lot of things. We have learned to be nimble. We have been a company that always changes with times. We have adapted a lot of new things that are the call of the hour regarding the COVID pandemic and how we kept ourselves well informed. This session will also have a couple of slides related to travel advisories as well as specific type of travel insurances. However, if you have any other questions regarding those travel advisories, again, direct your questions to the chamber and we would be happy to relay the answers. So the trip in discussion today is Greece, Land of Gods and Heroes, which is departing on the 18th of March coming year in 2022. And the flights have been planned round trip from Seattle. This trip is overall 9 days on your calendar. So if you start on the 18th and come back on the 26th, that's what the 9 days are, including of 7 nights of hotels, meals, and day trips in Greece. There is an optional extension available for 3 nights and 2 days for Santorini, which will extend from 26th, 27th, and 28th of March. So if you are interested in getting on that extension, you might have to plan your calendar accordingly. This extension is basically offered for the reason that some people might not have the time to devote to the entire trip, so they just do this part of it. Otherwise, if they have the time as well as the money to do it, they can extend the trip. Also, one of the important thing is there is an early bird discount offer going on this trip, whereby if you commit to, if you book the trip by the 29th of October this year, so it's still 4.5 months to go for that cutoff date, you get $100 off. That means the trip is for $3099. Plus, you also get a $69 worth of a Delphi trip included. It's overall a $169 benefit of just blocking your spot by 29th of October. If you block your spot post that, the trip becomes $3199 and the Delphi tour becomes a paid tour. There are contact details on the flyer for the chamber if you want to refer to them for any questions in future. So here we go. What Greece is known for is definitely beautiful countryside, history spanning centuries. If we talk about the 5 classic civilizations, Greco-Roman civilization happens to be one of them. They are kind of the pioneers of a lot of things in what modern day Europe we see right now. There is an ageless culture and tradition, great food, world famous sites, and amazing food and wine. I mean, Greek food is one of the cuisines that is known to the world for its fresh ingredients and a great mix of fruits, vegetables, meats, and fresh produce. It's amazing, friendly people who love a laid-back lifestyle, who are great to talk about. If you talk about their food, their sports, history of Olympics, their own culture, their position currently in the world politics, they would have n number of things to talk about. And obviously, this trip is all about traveling with friends. This picture is from last year, November 2019, and Matt might recognize one of our colleagues from Puyallup Chamber. She was on this trip with us. So day one, which is 18th of March, we depart for Greece. We have an overnight flight. In all likelihood, the flights are planned either Seattle to JFK and JFK to Athens, or Seattle to a major gateway in Europe and then to Athens. Now, we don't have the exact flight details handy right away, but what we do is we work with all major carriers which are flying out of USA. And because right now a lot of airlines are scrambling through their schedules, what we have done is we block spaces considering an anticipated number on a given departure date, and then keep on booking as people keep joining in. But your chamber will travel on one particular flight altogether. Since we are talking about flights, I would like to take this opportunity to say that if and ever you want an upgrade on your ticket, because the flights are planned on an economy class, if you want a specific update on your ticket based on availability, if there is a premium economy, a business class, or a first class available on that aircraft, we can quote you the difference in price, and you can block yourself a preferred kind of a class of ticket. But the price of that upgrade depends upon when you ask for it, because the prices are dynamic. The economy class group price is static. It's going to stay the way it is based on just on the early bird discount cutoff date. Day 2, you arrive in Greece. Now, it does not mean that you're traveling for more than 24 hours. It's just that you're traveling towards east, and that's why on the calendar it becomes day 2. You land in Athens, which is one of the oldest country capitals known to humans. So, and it's still continuously the oldest country capital we have in the world after Cairo. At the Athens airport, you would be met by your Aventura World representative. Usually, the representative is also the country manager that we have to coordinate the trips. But you would be accompanied by your dedicated guide on the bus throughout the tour. This person might be the same person who is welcoming you at the airport, or just one of the subordinates of the person coming to welcome you. It is also important to know that given the current social distancing travel parameters, the standard 45 to 50 seater buses are being filled maximum up to 30 passengers. Should this change, the changes would be brought about accordingly. Even previously, before the pandemic times, we did not used to fill the bus beyond 40 people. Now, I do understand one chamber cannot have 40 passengers, but it's a shared departure. So you might be traveling with passengers who are referred or have been promoted through other chambers across USA. So your fellow travelers are also members or associates of other chambers of commerce. And it's a great way to mingle with people from other parts of USA who are also associated with chambers. That's a picture of a standard bus. Sometimes you have a washroom on board, sometimes you don't. It depends upon the bus that has been allocated to your troop. But there are frequent pit stops on the way based on the daily schedule for toilet breaks. So don't be bothered if you don't have a washroom on the bus. I would never want one because I would really want the bus to smell pleasant rather than something else. In the flyer, you would be able to see this particular map, and I will explain something. So you see the arrow on the word Kineta. So throughout the tour, we are staying at one single hotel in a location called as Kineta, which is 40 minutes drive from the city of Athens towards the western direction. Kineta is based right at the sea. It's a beautiful resort. The good thing about planning this trip is you are right in the center of all the dotted places that you see. So on daily basis, you are driving in one direction and seeing one particular region without any repetition. That's part one. Part two, you are not doing any frequent check-ins, check-outs, pack-ups, and unpacking throughout your tour. So this is your home for the next 7 days. So this is what the aerial shot of the resort looks like, and we have used this as a preferred property for our various trips. So all these are all the rooms. The right side of the resort is what we use as our section. There are 2 pools plus the beach, and also there's a big restaurant over here. There's one restaurant over here, and there is some patio seating towards the beach side. So it's basically like a private beach themselves. It's not a sandy beach, but a pebble beach, and water temperatures during the month of March are decent. I would not say they are the most warmest of waters, but they are okay to walk into it. And if you can take it, you can actually take a dip into it. But the pools are quite good to do that too. This is a specimen room that I wanted to show you, which comes with different configurations of beds. On your booking form, you will have an opportunity of selecting whether to go for a twin bed or a double bed, which basically means a joint one or a disjoint one. The room comes with standard fittings like a TV, the safety box, Wi-Fi, phone, AC, heating, and so on. Also, things like hair dryers are available, and if you need any irons or any other gadgets which can be available in the hotel, you can ask for at the reception. Most of the hotel, actually all of them, have a nice balcony and a lookout window, giving it great views, and the color choices are really pleasant. So there are three restaurants in the hotel, one with a bar. Interestingly, if you see the list of inclusions in this trip, all your meals are included. That's part one. Part two, alcoholic beverages of local origin are included in your meals, so wine and other drinks. And that's kind of on the house drinking, so there is no limit towards your evening drinks if you want to party hard. Also, there are some great sites and seating areas in the patio where you can sit in the morning and have your breakfast, pretty much like this, and some great surroundings to the hotel in itself. This also allows you some initial acclimatization to the place. This is what I was mentioning, the pebble beach and the patio seating of the hotel that you see. Okay, day three is when your touring starts, so basically day two while you are traveling. And we do a city tour of Athens. This is a very standard, staple, circuit-based tour of Athens. It also gives you a great sense of direction and bearings of where you are and where you're heading to. Also allows you to see the main city right up front when you're really, really excited. Although towards the end, we once again go to Athens so that people have another opportunity of seeing more other important places and also buy some souvenirs or whatever they want to. So we start and conclude with Athens, and in between, we do a lot of other things. We see the first Olympic stadium of the modern Olympics when it was held in 1896. I will quickly run through these slides because they are mostly pictures. We see the Ark of Hadrian and the Temple of Olympian Zeus. We see the Parliament and the Memorial of the Unknown Soldier. This is where the change of guard happens, and it's a very nice site. One thing I would really like to mention is Aventura World stands out compared to many other tour operators, not just in configuring a tour, because you've already seen that we try to do it like a one hotel trip so that you don't have to check in, check out, and move on once again. But the other part is also about selecting the people who conduct the tour on the ground. Because we work primarily with chambers of commerce, one of the important things that we take care of is the cultural exchange part and a lot of questions that are being asked by the travelers to the guide. So we need to have really good tour facilitators or guides, as we popularly know them. Also, in all of our tours, you will see some segments which are called as the Cultural Discovery Series, and I will come to some of the slides which talk about it, where you get to meet local people who are doing certain things which are very much of a cultural identifier for the country. And this will allow you to mingle with them, know about how they do things and why things happen in a particular way in that country. So having very good guides and also inserting things like Cultural Discovery Series makes our programs stand out and make them more suitable to the audience of chambers of commerce. This is what the change of guard I was mentioning about. We also go to the academy, which is close to the Athens University, and we see the statues of a lot of known thinkers and philosophers of ancient Greece. The National Library of Greece, the Plato and the Athens statues at the Academy of Athens, and the Constitution Square. A lot of people know that ancient Greece was the place where democracy originated. So yeah, this is what is the tribute to the place. And we also go to the Acropolis, which is like one of the most photographed monuments of Greece altogether. And then we also go to the Parthenon, the former temple of the Athenian Acropolis. This is again an amazing site with a lot of great history, and also about if somebody is really interested into architecture and how many buildings in the rest of the world were inspired by Greek architecture, this is one place to really visit. Okay. Now, day 4, we go to the countryside, mostly to the mountainside and village of the Pelennepes Peninsula. And so you will see a drastic change in scenery. We were in Athens the previous day, which is a big metropolis with a lot of history. Now we are going more into the countryside, the rural side of Greece, and also a little more slow and laid back kind of living. We also go to some ancient mining sites where gold was mined in those times, and again, furthermore ancient places, the Lion's Gate and the Cyclopean Walls. I would really leave that explanation to the guides that would take you there, but I'm trying to show you the main highlights of the places that we would be visiting. We go to the Beehive Royal Tomb, and this is one of my favorites everywhere. In Greece, you will find a lot of amphitheaters, but this one has particularly been protected very well, and it's still in use. The acoustics of this place are really amazing. One of the examples is that if this chap over here drops a coin on the floor, this gentleman over here can listen to the sound of the coin dropping over there. And we also go to a fishing village called as Naspleon, which is an amazing place. A lot of places, if you see, a lot of places in Southern California are inspired from how these Greek villages are developed over the time. This is the only spot on the entire trip which might require some walking uphill. Otherwise, it's quite a flat terrain walk. You might find a lot of cobblestone paths everywhere, so shoes with good grips are always recommended. But this is the only spot where you might have to walk a bit on the uphill side. It has some very nice, quaint-looking areas with a lot of shopping options and beautiful buildings. And this is part of the first segment of our cultural discovery series where we do the olive oil tasting. So we actually go to an olive farm, which also has the oil press, where they do a lot of sorting and cleaning and processing of olives, and eventually extracting olive oils of different grades and grading them and actually checking for purity and the quality of the final produce. The people over there would be facilitating you with all the questions that you have about the produce, and also understanding how the kind of product that we get here in North America is different from the actual product being produced locally in a more of an organic setup. Day 5, we have a nice little boat ride crossing the Corinth Canal. Not this boat, this is just there for the fun. So this is what the Corinth Canal is. If you see the bridge on the far side, this is the bridge that you would be usually crossing every day by your bus while going from Kineta to other spots of interest. And Corinth Canal is right beneath it. It connects the agency with the Saronic Gulf, and it is a very important seafaring connection for the interior creeks and small port and fishing cities of Greece. A beautiful, actually, marvel of architecture from the ancient times. And you would be going in this boat, crossing the canal, understanding its importance for the seafaring history of the country. We also have another cultural discovery activity, which is sampling the ouzo. Ouzo is the local alcoholic beverage of Greece, and you would be sampling it with some local snacks and fruits and cheese. It's a great opportunity, once again, to feel a bit light on your head and enjoy with the local population, understanding why they love the drink too much. Even if you don't love it, you can still pose as if you're enjoying the drink, because they take a bit of offense that if you dislike ouzo. But yeah, it's fun to have. It's a great time and season in the country, so you can enjoy it. And some things, just seeing life go by. Day 6.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't you supposed to be muted?
Okay, I think my microphone got muted, so sorry for that.
You're back now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, day 6, we have the optional tour, which is also available through the early bird discount. So if you book or reserve your spot by 29th of October, this comes for free. This is an optional tour which goes to Delphi. If you have not taken this tour, you have the opportunity of staying back at the hotel and enjoying the day by yourself. If you're on this tour, you would be facilitated by a lunch on the tour, while the people staying back at the hotel get their lunch being served at the hotel, or if they want to take a stroll outside and do things by themselves, absolutely fine. Why we do optional tours is for 2 reasons. Number one is because some people do want a break in between. They don't want a regimented program, and they do want to do things by themselves. So this gives an opportunity of making the tour being priced like a group tour, but being operated like an individual thing, so that you can mix and match the things that you like. The second thing is, obviously, if we insert everything, it becomes very rigid and very costly. So obviously, if you want to spend more money, keep on adding more things to it. If you want to spend less money, you can keep it like a bare bone program with the sightseeing that has already been included. But the good part is, for this particular program, there is a lot of sightseeing and all the meals and alcoholic beverages included. So you hardly have to fend for anything by yourself. So in Delphi, there is a great, this is again a great place. I would say do not miss it out. It has the amazing Apollo temple, the Athenian sanctuary, the treasury of Athenians, and the ancient stadium, which talks about the ancient Olympic Games that began in Greece long time back. We also take a visit to the Delphi Museum, which talks about a lot of ancient art and artifacts and some scientific achievements of the Greek people, and a lot of gold. Day 7, this is also an optional tour that goes to Olympia. And this is again a trip that I would really recommend people taking. So this is the birthplace of the Olympic Games. Again, if you're not going on the optional tour, you have the opportunity of staying back at the hotel. The Temple of Hera, the Temple of Zeus in Olympia, and the ancient Olympic Stadium. And this is the arc that you see that used to be the finish line for the famous marathon that used to happen in ancient Olympic. And this is the Olympic site from the history. Day 8, we have the Museum of Acropolis tour. So we are back to Athens. And as I mentioned that towards the end, we go back again to Athens. So we go to the modern museum for Acropolis. And it's a great site again. It's a guided tour. You also get those headphone-like guiding systems if you want to, and some amazing things to understand. We also have the opportunity of visiting the markets, which is included after your lunch. So this is a great opportunity because when we started the tour, it was with Athens. So you get the basic direction sense of the city, and now you can go out by yourself, take a stroll, be in the local buzz, enjoy the local delicacies if you want, pick up some fruits or anything. It's always very safe to do that in Greece. Everything is quite clean and well kept. So you can pick up some souvenirs if you want to. That would be a wonderful place to get them, because you're not going to the touristy spots. You're going to the places where people actually go, the locals actually go. And day 9, we depart for Athens and then to the airport. So in the morning after breakfast, according to the flight times, you are bussed to the airport for your flight back home. Now, this is the end of the tour for the people who have not taken the Santorini extension. Some, again, pictures to conclude that. So what is included? The things that are included in your trip are round-trip flight in economy class from Seattle, 7 nights of stay, 20 meals including of 7 breakfasts, 6 lunches, and 7 dinners, local alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks in the bar each evening. Sightseeing with a lot of things, cultural discovery programs, which is the ouzo tasting and the olive oil tasting. You will have a professional tour director always with you on the tours. You'll have deluxe motor coaches, and you will also be assisted with your baggage handling. And the price for the tour is $3,099 for double occupancy per person. And if you're traveling all by yourself and occupying the room just by yourself, there's an additional $699 single occupancy supplement. If you book after 29th of October, it is $100 extra plus the Delphi tours cost. So that's what is additional over here. If you want to stay longer, you can extend your trip to Santorini. In this case, you would be brought to Athens with everybody, and then you would take a separate flight to Santorini for dividing from the group. So everybody else goes back to US, but you are flying. You're taking another flight which connects you to Santorini. The Santorini extension will go up until 28th of March. It includes your hotels. It includes your domestic flight connections. It includes your daily breakfast. Once again, it includes your sightseeing and another cultural discovery activity of wine tasting. We will get to those details. The tour guides and the baggage handling and transfers. And the price is $799 for the Santorini extension, which is inclusive of all the regional flights and everything. And again, if you are traveling single by yourself, there is an additional cost, and the total that will come out is $1098 for traveling single, or the way I put it, occupying the hotel room just for yourself. Okay, so day 10, basically, the first day in Santorini, you do the island tour. Santorini is a volcanic cliff kind of a structure being made out where where all the buildings are made in steps over the slopes, and it has some great views. The blue and white color is quite a quintessential signature of the place. We do a lot of sightseeing. We see the monastery of Prophetis. We have this panoramic view, and if you see that there's the little airstrip over here. We go to the upper town of Pygros, and one of the cultural discovery activities in Santorini is going to the wine museum. Wine making in Greece is not a very ancient thing, or it's kind of a modern development which has happened over the last, I would say, 100 years, but they have really mastered the art in the last 3 decades. Nowadays, Greece is producing some good wine. It wasn't a case previously, or there were better wines available which were coming out of France or Italy or Spain or elsewhere in the world, like Australia, South Africa, or Chile, or even Californian wines. But in the past 2 decades or 3 decades, the Greek wine has really improved and has become a good standard. And this is what the whole economy of Santorini depends upon, apart from tourism. We also take a visit to a neighboring village called as Uia, and it's basically pronounced as Oya. So that's how it is. It is again a very beautiful place. A lot of pedestrian pathways. Again, there would be a bit of up and down on those cobblestone paths, but it's a very slow-paced thing, so you will not feel it too much. If you go too fast, obviously you will feel a bit tired. And after that, we again connect in a regional flight to Athens and then depart for USA on day 11, which is 28th of March. Some pictures to conclude. Now, visas, you don't need a visa to travel to Greece if you are a US citizen or a US passport holder. If not, if you have any other kind of passport, if you have a Canadian passport, it's pretty much the same thing. But if you have any other passport apart from US or Canadian, do check with the local Greek embassy for the travel permits that you would require. The only 2 conditions you need to fulfill, even if you're holding a US or a Canadian passport, is number 1, the passport should be valid for 6 months beyond your departure date. When I say that, it means that the departure date is 18th of March 2022. If you add 6 months to it, that becomes 18th of September 2022. So if your passport's validity is beyond 18 September 2022, you are good to go. The second condition to fulfill is you need to have at least 2 blank pages on your passport. If you don't have 2 blank pages, you need to get a new passport because the immigration people cannot put a stamp anywhere else. Okay, how to sign up? There are 2 ways. One of them is the standard paper form, and the other one is an online one. The online one is more preferred because that allows you to track your payments and your invoices much easily. It also gives automatic payment reminders and also updates to the chamber. But if you're comfortable with doing the paper form, it's absolutely fine. In the flyer, the last page is the registration form, and 1 form per passenger is required, even if you are 2 people traveling together. So it's pretty simple. Try to keep your passport handy with you while filling up the form so that you can put the exact name as in the passport, the date of birth, the passport number, the expiration date, and so on. If you're traveling single or double or twin, do let us know. Also, if you are registering by 29th of October, you are talking about the first column over here about the pricing. If you are considering after the 29th of October, this is the area of your pricing. I would come to the insurance part in the later slide. So there is a way you can avail travel insurance. There's a separate slide explaining that. So once you have selected what kind of tours that you are doing, the insurance that you are doing, you can do a calculation. Is it 1 form for each person traveling? Yes, it is 1 form for each person traveling. You are putting your fellow traveler's name over here, but it does not have a space to put your fellow traveler's date of birth and passport details. That's the reason you need. Also, there are cases where you are authorizing your own payment and somebody else is authorizing their credit card payments. So in both cases, we need signatures to authorize those payments. And that's the reason there is 1 form for each passenger. Now, so you do this calculation. So to reserve your spot, the deposit is $600. If you have booked the extension and the optional tours and also have gone for the insurance, that would be the total you would be paying upfront. And the balance, the full balance is paid by 18th of December. So 18th of December is 3 months before your departure date. So 90 days before your departure date, you make the full payment. So upfront is either $600 just flat. If you add things to it, those things are over here and you will get the total. We accept Visa, MasterCard, or Discover card. Or if you are making a check, the check, put the check number over here and make the check payable to Aventura World. And you can send that check to the chamber and they will ensure that that reaches us because at least they would know that you have placed a booking. So that's the paper form for you, but there is another way of doing the registration, which is through your online booking system. Here is the insurance detail before I skip to the online booking system. So insurance is basically of 2 types. One is our regular travel insurance, which covers trip cancellation due to accident, sickness, or death, medical issues on the trip, trip interruption, travel delay, missed connection, emergency medical evacuation, lost baggage and personal effects, and baggage delay. The price of insurance is directly proportional to what the final price of your tour is. There is an additional premium insurance, which is the cancel for any reason. I would, because I'm not a licensed insurance person, I would refrain from discussing insurance too much in detail. But I can send, you can go to the Aventura World website and find the insurance section, or I can send a PDF to the chamber whereby you can read more in detail about it. We offer insurance through our insurance partners, CSA Generali, and there is a special tour code which is available. So you will have that thing available on the PDF I send out to the chamber. The idea is there are 2 types of insurance. One is the regular trip cancellation and interruption insurance, and the other one is the cancel for any reason. the cancel for any reason is by default costlier than the regular insurance. But I really recommend all the passengers to take the insurance, because in my mind, this is the money I would love you to waste, so that you never have to use it, but at least you know that you have it to save yourself in case of any kind of emergencies or exigencies. So yeah, I have my task cut out, whereby I would send out the insurance document to Matt. Now, when I talk about the online registration, on the form, you would have the link and the booking code at two different locations. You can go to this link and you can use this booking ID, which is dedicated to this particular trip. So once you go to the link, this is what the page you would see. If you are a new user, you might have to create your login ID over here. That allows you to track your booking. If you already have a login ID, this is where you go. And then you would enter into the booking portal. This is where you enter your booking ID I was mentioning, which is printed on the form, on the registration as well as the flyer. And once you are there, you would enter. This is just a sample page for a different chamber, but I'm just using this is how it looks like. So it looks exactly like your paper form, but slightly more user friendly. So the first section is about your name and passport. The second section is about room occupancy, then the air departure gateway point, which is Seattle. Now, here I would like to mention something. Just in case if you have any friends or family who are living elsewhere in US and would like to join us on this trip, there are two options for them. Number one, they can come to you and fly with you from Seattle, or if they have a nearest airline gateway to them. For example, if they are close to San Francisco, do let us know and we can give them a separate pricing from San Francisco and they can join us on the tour right there. So people anywhere from US can join. The important part is they should be willing to go to a major gateway. I mean, we can't be giving flight codes from a municipal airport for an international gateway. So they need to be close to a major gateway, or they should be willing to travel to a major gateway, and we can give a price to them if any of your family or friends want to travel from elsewhere. So here you do the optional tools and extensions if you're going for the Santorini extension and so on. Travel protection is the insurance section, and review and payment. So the computer does all the mathematics for you, what your deposit would be and so on, and you would do the payment authorization. Here you will also get your payment receipts and future invoices by email. So do enter your email legibly and do check it periodically. That would be important. And that's my part of the presentation. So my task after this presentation is to send out the insurance document. I would like to add something about the current COVID scenario over here, because it's quite a dynamic thing. I never put a slide on it because every time I do a presentation, things change. However, the good news about Greece is, and actually while we were discussing this trip with Matt, was 14th of April 2021, which is 2 months before today, Greece was open to vaccinated American travelers without any testing to be done. So if you follow the news, usually what you have to do is, if you're traveling to an international destination where the flights are open, you have to take the COVID testing and show a negative test for a test which has been taken within 72 hours of your departure. However, if you are vaccinated in USA, which means you're fully vaccinated with your 2 doses or whatever the vaccine style is, you can carry the proof of your vaccination and your passport, and you don't need to prove anything beyond that to travel to Greece. So this is Greece happened to be the first country in Europe to launch it, and it was followed by France and Spain, and more countries are catching up to it. So firstly, if it's like, if you are vaccinated, bash on regardless. That's part one. Part two, if you are not vaccinated, or for any reason, if you're not willing to get vaccinated, you would have to take a COVID testing done within 72 hours of your departure from USA, and show a negative test before boarding the flight. While coming back, we will facilitate you to take a negative test at the hotel. All these testing is on additional cost. So whatever it costs you locally in your city, you can find out the best possible combination. Whatever is available in Greece, we will let you know while you are there. So that would be an important thing to consider. So I personally encourage everyone to get the jab. But if you're not willing to, the option 2 is to get the testing done and produce a negative test. Now, if you are tested positive, before going, obviously you have your options, and that's where the cancel for any reason insurance kicks in. And if you are tested positive while being there, again, the insurance kicks in to facilitate your how you're taken care of at the hospitals over there. So that's the reason I always say that insurance is the money I would love that you waste. But if needed, that would be the best money you would have spent. So if you have any questions after this, you can unmute yourself, and I'm all ears to that.
Okay, excellent. Any questions from the crowd today? Joanne, do you have any questions at all? Or Vibe, thank you very much for walking us through that. This looks like a fantastic trip. I'm really excited to share this with our community and hopefully provide the opportunity for some people to go see this just amazing part of the world.
The only other question is, you mentioned San Francisco and California as optional sites. Would LAX also be a possibility?
Yes, ma'am. So any major gateway. So if I were to run through the major gateways on the West Coast, it would be San Diego, LAX, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, Vancouver.
Okay.
Those are the ones. Colorado, Dallas, Phoenix, all those ones.
Yeah,
I
pretty
just
much.
know somebody in California that might be interested. So
cool.
Sure.
Yeah, so basically, Vibe, it would be kind of like if there's an international airport locally, then that's kind of what we're looking at, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Looks like a cool trip.
The price might vary for somebody traveling from elsewhere, but because it's a major gateway, it would still be almost comparable to what we have.
Okay.
Good to know.
Good to know. And they would just, how would they get a hold of you for a quote? Just that email or something, or?
So when they are placing their booking, and I would recommend they do the online booking. They would have an option to put some comments. A lot of people, what they do is put comments like gluten-free diet or something like that. What comment they can put is kindly give me a price quote from LAX, and the people who would then produce their receipt will change the invoice pricing based on the LAX pricing and make the charges accordingly. So if you remember initially when I mentioned that from Seattle we either connect to JFK or to a major gateway in Europe. So what will happen is all the flights, let's say if somebody is flying from LAX and somebody is flying from Seattle, and our connection is into JFK. So you might be traveling on different aircraft from respective cities to JFK, but from JFK onwards, you're traveling together. Or let's say everybody is flying to Frankfurt, and then everybody converges into Frankfurt and goes on one aircraft to Athens. So it's either of the two combinations. That's how we work.
Understood. And they would use the same booking code?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
yes.
Great.
It's just that they do that special instructions about, I would like to fly out of LAX or SFO or anywhere.
All right. Okay, well, that's all the questions I had.
Excellent.
All right. Well, thank you for the presentation.
Well, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it. Thank you again, Vibe, for being here. I think that's about all we've got. I don't have any other questions either. So
Sure.
when we get that, when I get the insurance information, I'll be sure and post that on the website and put a note out on the Discover Lake Stevens Facebook page, so you can keep an eye out there for that information. Once it's available, it'll be there. So
sure.
That'll work.
Sounds great. Thank you.
I can't stress more on the early bird discount. Everybody should use it, and you still have more than 4 months to avail it. So if you're making up your mind, that should be $100 off plus $169 off on the Delphi tour. So it's $269 worth of savings on that.
Okay.
It's a great discount for sure. So excellent. So again, thank you, Vibe, for being here today and walking us through this fabulous tour. And I'm gonna stop recording now.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Giant. Thank you.